Hey everybody, welcome to week 2 of the Health Ninja webinar series, and we hope that you are really loving the posts in the Facebook group. I know I'm loving reading your responses to each day. All of the different emails and posts were written by all the health coach leaders. Even though it says it's coming from me, I didn't write them all, but my account posts them, and I am really enjoying your responses. They are so well. I think a lot of people are having some breakthroughs. Especially this week while we're starting our mindset focus. Last week we learned a lot about our bodies and about balancing our blood sugar and balancing proteins and carbs and all these kinds of things. And that's all great, and that is good information to utilize and to know. But when it comes down to it, I think a lot of times it's whether we choose a salad or whether we choose a hamburger or greasy pizza or something, it's really not because we don't know which one's the healthiest, right? Like, let's be honest. It's usually something that's going on up here, and that's why I love mindset trading. So it is my honor to introduce tonight's hostess, Kat Fuller, and she's going to be leading this discussion on Ninja MasterMInd. Kat, are you there?
I am, and I'm so excited to share with you guys. This is one of my most favorite topics in the whole world. As you know, as health coaches, we're certified the Center of Obesity Prevention and Education at Villanova University. And I just want to say, this curriculum that we teach is kind of amazing. I have my co-host joining me right now. This is John. He's been helping with the National Habits of Health call. So anyway, but this curriculum that we teach, I think this is the part that really got me excited, is this mastermind, the healthy mind. So here's our before and after pictures, and you see a lot of these. You know, all of you are friends with health coaches. Some of you are health coaches. Some of you are clients with Optavia. 5 years ago in September, we started a diet. John and I started a diet, and that's what we thought. And Amber's my coach, and I was super excited that she would share this with me, and I just kind of thought I needed a jump start. About 2 weeks in, I realized I was starting to think differently, and it really started to change. And over the next course, so John and I lost 75 pounds between us, as you can see. And over the course of a year and a half, bazinga, over a course of a year and a half, I really started focusing on my healthy mind, and it just really, I don't know, it really changed things for me enough that I didn't feel like I could keep it inside anymore, and I needed to share some of yours.
Yeah, my story is pretty much I did everything that Kat did, and so when she gained weight, I would gain weight, and when she lost her weight, I wasn't always as successful losing weight. But when she told me that she was going to do her friends program, I said, hey, I'm into, let's do this thing together. And I would not give Amber my phone number, actually. True story. Some of you have heard that before. So I was like, hey, Kat, you're just going to have to field all the calls, all the questions. And the interesting thing is that as we have focused on staying healthy over the years, we've grown in so many ways. It's not even about the weight for us. It's really about how we've grown, how we've become stronger, and the connection and support that we have with our community of health.
So tonight we're going to talk about, we mentioned mastermind. We're first going to talk about understanding your brain, a little bit of the anatomy, a little bit of the physiology, a little bit of the psychology, and we're going to talk a little bit about mindset, and we'll share with you some really cool research about growth and fixed mindset. And then we're going to share with you something we love as health coaches in our community. One thing we love is living above the line, and we'll teach you about that. So I get to throw it back to Amber to help introduce our brain, aka Why Am I Cray Cray?
Thanks, Kat and John. You know, this is one of my favorite topics because I remember I went to just like a little seminar. It was like a free seminar that they did at our church, in fact. And I was like, I'll go to it because they kind of, I don't know, they said it was going to be good, and I kind of didn't think it was, but I went. And it was a clinical therapist, and he was talking about your brain and how there's two different parts of your brain. I mean, there's a lot of parts of your brain, but we have a two-part brain, so to speak. There's one part of your brain which is where you go, oh, I want to get healthy. This is your prefrontal cortex here. I want to get healthy. I have these goals and I want to do good things and I want to like change the world. You know, you always have all these goals. These are the things that happen like on New Year's resolutions, right? And then there's another part of your brain, and that's the part that's like, I want cookies. Like, I want to lay on the couch instead of exercise, right? And there, it's in there, okay? And that's your limbic system. That's your survival centers. And I like to, this is what I learned at the seminar, is that you have to call it the it, because it is part of you, but it is not you. So the it seeks pleasure. It just wants things to be easy. You guys ever said that? Man, I just want life to be easier. I'm seeing some head nods. That's because that's the survival center in your brain. Or avoid pain. It's like, nope, pain is bad. Like when you go to the gym and you're exercising, if your survival centers are getting pinged, it's like bad, run away, don't do this, don't ever come back, right? And it doesn't like change either. Change is really scary to this part of your brain. There's no morals. Like this part of your brain is very impulsive, where you go, cookie, eat it, right? It doesn't think it through. It'll say anything to protect you. And that's the good thing, is that your limbic system is there to protect you. Without it, like humankind would cease to exist. We wouldn't care to eat. We wouldn't care if we were too cold or going to get hypothermia. We wouldn't procreate the earth. We just wouldn't care. So this is actually some people think it's the devil and the angel on your shoulder thing. Really, it's not. This part of you is essential to life, in fact. But it's kind of like that overprotective friend. I think of it. It's like, okay, I'm all right. Thanks for your concern. That's how I think of the limbic system. So your prefrontal cortex, like I said, this is your goals, your long-term plans, where you're mindful. All of your actions and decisions have to go through this portion of your brain. You cannot reach over and pick up your water and drink it without it going through your prefrontal cortex. So that's just a rundown on the two-part brain, Kat. Does that help?
I love it. And you know what I love about understanding this is that it's not, and we can talk a little bit more about it. We have some more examples, and we can talk about the neuroplasticity of our brain. Amber, I'm going to have you share some of your knowledge with that. You guys, she's so good at teaching it. I can't even like do it halfway justice. So, but I love that you said it's not me, because so many things, how many of you, I mean, blink if you've ever thought you are your thoughts, right? Oh, everyone blinked, I saw you. We are not our thoughts. And just going back to some of the equanimity stuff that we taught the first week, before we launched the Health Ninja stuff, you are not your thoughts, and you really cannot eat that cookie that Amber was talking about without your prefrontal cortex. And so many times we think, oh, it was I just couldn't handle it anymore. I didn't even realize I was doing it. Well, your prefrontal cortex did actually. You can't pick something up and put it in your mouth without some form of thought. It can be automatic, it can be habit, but anyway, and I love the free will or free won't. Like that is really cool about the frontal cortex is that you really get to choose. It's all about choices. So this is one of my favorite parts of the two-part brain is, and Amber, I want you to kind of teach us about the grooves in our brain and what we can do and what this picture is, because people are like, what's that mud?
Yeah, this is like, it probably rained and somebody went through this muddy field and it created these tracks, right? And this is like your brain. There are tracks in your brain, neural pathways. And when we have habits, then that is what we tend to do. Our brain wants the path of least resistance, right? So whether that habit is good or bad, it's a habit. And it's actually, we need habits. If we didn't have habits, our brains would literally explode. They would just overload and you could not be living. Just think about how many things you do by habit. Brushing your teeth, the way you drive to work or drive home. Did you ever like drive home from somewhere and you didn't even remember Like from the time you left to when you got home, you like blacked out. So not literally, but you don't remember all the choices that you made. Raise your hand if that's ever happened to you. Yeah, I see a lot of hands. That's a habit. That's a neural pathway. But the good thing is you can change the neural pathways in your brain. It's not easy. What would be easier, driving on those tracks, or would it be easier to try to jump the tracks and make new ones? It's easier to drive on the tracks, right? And it's the same with our brain. But that does not mean it's not possible. It's very possible, but it's hard at first. But in the long term, it's worth it to create those new habits and to get out of the status quo. Even though your survival center is saying, don't do it, that's scary, stay with what you know. Even if what you know is that you're overweight and you're tired and you're sick and you're on medications and you can't sleep when you sleep at night, you need a CPAP machine. It doesn't matter. That's what you know. So your brain wants to keep you there. So that's just a little bit about the neural pathways for you, Kat and John.
I love that. Thank you. And you know that the limbic system, it totally knows where it hurts. Like it gets us where we are the most sensitive, and it always will. But I love that it's always possible to change. So we're going to give you some
I want to say something really quick on that point. So think about this though. When you drive down that groove, you can go a lot faster when you're in that groove. And if you're trying to make a new pathway, it's a lot slower going so you don't slip back into that groove. So think about it. Yeah, it is possible to change. It might be a little bit slower going, but I promise you that it is worth it, and you're worth it to take that time to go a little slower, to take a little bit of time to think about what's going on so that you can create a new pattern for your life.
Exactly. And we wanted to give you some examples of how your brain works with something like eating, because we all have to do this every day, right? And how many of us are trying to eat healthier? I think everybody on this Zoom is trying to be a healthier eating ninja. And so our logical brain would say, I have health goals. Limbic system is like, eat it all now. There's not going to be enough food. What if I never get this? My grandma only makes this once a year, you guys. I'm never going to have this again, ever. You know, what if she dies and I never get her treat again, ever?
When I drink my Diet Dr. Pepper, I always have a donut with it. I just always have a donut with it. No matter what, there's the donut and the Diet Dr. Pepper. They go hand in hand.
He's making fun of me because that used to be my breakfast of champions. I was a donut ninja. So our logical brain will look at choices and the big picture and has perspective. If in our limbic system, honestly, you guys, this is how it thinks. If I don't eat that candy, I might die. How many of you have little kids or had little kids at some point? And the 2-year-old is like, I'm gonna die if you don't give me a popsicle. This was today at my house. He's 5, and I really thought like he was gonna cry himself to death if he didn't get a popsicle. And I was just like, okay, he's totally in limbic overload right now, and all I can do is let it pass, because it's not gonna, there's no logic, there's no big picture, there's no perspective.
Or how about people that like change their style of eating or their eating pattern? They start a new program or something. They're like 2 days into the thing, and it's nighttime of the second day, and my body's freaking out right now, and I just am gonna die unless I have fill in the blank. Well, you're not going to die. You really aren't actually physically going to die most of the time, if that's the case. But
and going along with that, like, I'll eat salad. This is my last chance. One dessert won't matter. You might offend the host. How many of you have to deal with that? Oh my gosh, you have to. You know, you have food pushers. You have people making choices for you. You feel like. Well, I just want to share something that's helped me with this specific thing. When I was 21, I served a mission for my church, and I served in an area of the world that fish wasn't safe to eat. And it wasn't because of radiation. It wasn't safe. And I just really learned to say I was a vegetarian anytime anyone made me food. And you know what? If I said I'm a vegetarian, nobody pushed food. Nobody tried to make me eat meat. If my dad, who's a celiac, like before it was cool, like 16 years ago, he was diagnosed before it got popular. If he goes somewhere somebody has pizza, they're not going to push it on him because it could make him sick. So think about your healthy choices in that perspective, that, you know, you're a health ninja. You don't need that. You have power over your choices. And if you're going to offend somebody, say, I'm really sorry. If it offends you, I'm just not eating this right now.
And who really gets offended over someone not eating something? I mean, I have honestly never actually heard someone say, I am so offended because you didn't eat this. Like, really offended. You
Except
guys.
me, when I'm making food and it's gross, I get offended. I'm kidding. I don't. And nobody really does. It's true. So, Amber, I would love if you could kind of close out the healthy mind, the healthy two-part brain part with this, and share with us what it means to be a peaceful warrior. And if you guys haven't seen her warrior video that was posted in the groups the other day, go back and watch it because it's my favorite.
It's a winner.
I'm silly. You guys probably noticed my video bomber husband too while I was doing it. I was like, forget it. I'm not doing it again, even though he walked through my background. But anyway, I think the biggest takeaway here is to not be frustrated, because sometimes, do you ever, raise your hand if you've ever been frustrated that you had cravings, or frustrated, I just didn't like candy, right? Okay, I see some hands. It's true. But when we do that, or when we say, no, you're never allowed to eat that again, or no, I'm just going to white knuckle it and never have that, then you know what your brain does? It fights back, like big time. And it goes, whatever, I'm going to send you a million signals that say you want that even more now that you said you couldn't have it, right? And so what is better is when you push on something, we push on someone, you're pushing on your brother when you're a little kid, what do? They push back or they hit, and your brain is the same way. So instead, be peaceful. Be a peaceful warrior. I love Kat's shirt, warrior woman. And so don't be frustrated that you're tempted. Just go, oh yeah, oh, that's my well-intentioned friend who's looking out for me, but really I'm fine. Because that's the truth. That's your survival center, who's very well-intentioned to keep you alive, by the way. Like, that's pretty cool. And say, but I'm good, I don't have to have that right now. There's plenty of food in my fridge that I'm not going hungry. I don't need to eat everything on the berry bush right this second so I could store fat for the winter, right? So just like take some deep breaths and become proactive. So be thinking about that ahead of time when you know you're going into a situation where it's going to be a little tougher, or you're going to have it telling you you need this or that. Think about what you want to create. Make a dream board. Have a journal. Write down. I've got my journal right here. Write down what is important to you and why. Why do you want to be healthy? Like, who cares, right? I do. I care that I'm healthy because I care about being a better mom for my 3 kids. And I care about being around for the long term. Because I know what it's like to lose a grandparent, lose it. My husband's dad, he died at age 58. I know what that's like. I know what it's like for my husband. I know what it's like for his wife. And that's hard. And I want better for my family. I want better for me. And I keep that in the forefront, and I focus on that. And when I run after what I want, then I never get tired. When I'm running away from things I don't want, when I'm saying, I don't want to be fat, and I don't want to be tired, and I don't want to be this and that, then I get tired really easily. So create what you want, run towards those positive goals. You never get tired.
That's so great. It's so true. Don't you? I 100% agree with that. And I joke about how much I hate running, unless there's a ball or a goal. So that's kind of how it is in my life. We're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about mindset now. And this is probably one of, like I mentioned at the beginning, one of the biggest changes that I've had in my life since I started the Optavia program 5 years ago. So one thing about mindset is whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And I like this picture because I think a lot of people look at mountains and they think, there's no way. There's no way I can climb that. Maybe you look at your weight loss goal, or you see the healthy life you see in your mind's eye, like, this is what I really want. I really want to play with my grandkids. I really want to be a good mom. I really want to be a good wife or a good husband or whatever it is. And you see this, but you think the path is impossible. And we all feel that way at times. We do. But with mindset, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right because you're in charge. So I'm going to have John and I will share this. We'll kind of take turns on this because there was some really cool research done by Carol Dweck at Stanford University.
That's a pretty well-known university, so they do pretty good
So
studies out of there.
And she basically found that people come in these two ways, and this is all of us fit, and we all don't necessarily fit in all of the fixed mindset categories, and we don't all fit in the growth mindset categories. But as humans, we're all, we all have our individual strengths and weaknesses and things. But I love how she breaks it down in this chart about what the difference is between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So with skills.
Can I say something just really quickly?
Yes.
When we talk about fixed versus growth, I mean, this is pretty simple, but just to clarify in case somebody's not understanding what we mean by that. I really like to keep it simple. Fixed keeps us where we're at. We're not moving forward. Growth allows us to grow, become a better version of ourselves, and move forward. So
yeah, and fixed mindset kind of going into this, it means that people that are just naturally so good at something, right? We all know those people who are like, oh, they're just so good with people, or they're such a natural athlete. And John and I are a good example of this because I was born an athlete, and he has a lot of athletic ability, but he worked a lot harder than I did to develop his. I worked hard, but we joked about this we talked about this before in our own lives, that with skills, if you have a fixed mindset, you're like, oh, they were just born with it. They're just good. They're just naturally good at that. A growth mindset says you can always improve. It comes from a place of hard work. It doesn't come from a place of, oh, they're just lucky. They were born with it. They have the skills, whatever.
Let's talk about some challenges. Oh, the topic of challenges. We all have them. The thing with a fixed mindset is people try to avoid the challenges. Why are we avoiding them? Oh, because it actually equals growth. If we have a growth mindset, we want to embrace it because we know that we'll get better through that process. Challenges reveal our lack of skill. Uh-oh, I'm not very good at this. Versus it allows us an opportunity to grow and become a better version of ourselves. Or with challenges, people that have that fixed mindset, they give up easily. The challenge might hit them and they're like, oh, yeah, well, I can't do that, so I'm out. But as we work with the growth mindset, we become more persistent. We gain strength. I could go on, but I won't. So
I know
we'll
this could be
this
could be like a month of training, really. And I love that with challenges, it says to embrace them. It doesn't say to kick them. It doesn't say to beat them up. It doesn't say to kick them in the face or hurt them, or, it says embrace your challenges. And I think of, for me, an embrace, I think of dancing. I think of dancing with these challenges. And, they move us certain ways, but we're learning the steps. We are learning what we need to learn to be a better person. With effort, a fixed mindset person thinks it's not necessary. They want a life of ease. It's something you do when you're not good enough. Trying hard is, it's almost below people. Like, why would I put effort into that? When people say to me, I don't have time for that. I don't care about that. I think, well, you have a fixed mindset about that then, which is fine. That's how it is. Because people ultimately make time and money for the things that are the most priority in their lives, especially with a growth mindset. So
whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
You're right. So with effort, people know that it's a path to mastery, and it takes hard work.
It's interesting too, kind of going back to the challenges and the effort, they kind of go hand in hand too, because, as we have challenges and we put more effort into it, it is like dancing. And Tony Robbins gives an example about this, how as we have challenges come our way, we can fight and resist those things and we won't get anywhere. But if, like Kat said, if we dance with it and we learn how to move that and go with and create an energy and a flow with it, you guys, some great things can happen. Now, when we talk to people and we're trying to learn something new and we get feedback from that person, when we have a fixed mindset, this is really, you see people in work scenarios, you see people with various different activities that they have. If they have that fixed mindset, their immediate response is they get defensive. I don't want feedback. I'm already the best I can be. I don't want that feedback. They take it personal. They get a chip on their shoulder. They get frustrated. They get upset. Okay, but somebody that has that growth mindset, they take it and they go, okay, what can I learn from this? What's that nugget that I can take out of this? Who's it coming from? Why are they giving me this feedback? What's the source for this? And if there's things that you can do to improve, absolutely take that, work on it, and move forward.
Yep. And with setbacks, whenever something goes wrong, people who live in a fixed mindset are always looking for whose fault it is. If something happens around the house, who did this? Well, let's just clean it up and figure it out. And
this is really hard with kids.
It is.
And spouses and all those other things, right? And if you're single, it's really hard with the people that you hang out with, because this is like one of those things that happens no matter where you go.
Yeah, and it's hard not to get discouraged. And it's okay to be sad if something doesn't work out and you have a setback. Feel it, move on, use it as a wake-up call to work harder in life. So I love these triggers. You can find your fixed set. We all want to be in growth, right? We don't want to just sit in a fixed mindset. We want to find our fixed mindset triggers. So look in your own life, and this is your assignment this weekend, to choose some of these things. Like, is it challenges? Is it receiving criticism? Is it comparison? Are you comparing yourself to people? I'll tell you, when you compare yourself to people, you're comparing your worst, because you know your worst, to their best, because that's all they show the world. We don't show everybody our garbage. Come on, that would be crazy. I mean, Facebook's already crazy enough. It can be horrible. But look at these opportunities to grow. Look at these challenges, or if you receive some criticism, look at it as, how can I learn from this? How can I grow? One of my favorite ways to move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset is to replace the word fail with learn. I'm not failing, I'm learning, right? Thomas Edison didn't fail 999 times or whatever, 9,990 times. He said, I learned 999,000 ways not to make a light bulb. I learned. I didn't fail. So, and provide opportunities for reflection. Look at what happened, what was missing, what's next in your life. And grit, you guys, this is killer. If you have grit, you can get through anything. And then the last thing is living above the line, which we're going to teach you about really quick. We're almost out of time, so I want to make sure we have a little bit of time for this.
A couple of minutes.
So you're the author of your own life. And ultimately, all the things that we have been talking about, it's up to you. If you want to be the most disciplined ninja, then it's up to you. It's not up to us. It's not up to your sister or whoever you ask to be accountable with. It's up to you. So take a second and think about where you are on this line. So we call it living above the line. Above the line, people are aware. They take responsibility. They're all about growth. How can I do this? They wonder, like, what could be next? What could be fun? They're looking at future or learning. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry. I just read something and I was like, I got to take care of that on the chat. I will. Sorry.
Basically, when we live below the line, we're blaming other people. We're making excuses for things that happen. We're judging other people, comparing ourselves to those people. And we look in the past a lot. If you're living below the line, you are living in the past. And I'm going to be the first to tell you, this is hard, you guys. This isn't easy. And this doesn't happen overnight. It's not like you're going to flip a switch and you're going to be like, my life is above the line. I am a ninja at living above the line. No, this takes work. It takes effort. So focus on that this week for sure. As we become the best health ninjas possible, think about the things that you can do to master your prefrontal cortex, to live above the line.
And I want to share a story really fast about living above the line, because I found this and I just want to share it. Dr. Edward Deming is known for his work in helping Japan's manufacturing industries reach the high level of quality for which they're renowned. He was a brilliant mentor to a great many business leaders. One of his students was Marshall Thurber. You may have heard of him. They pioneered the use of the $2 rule in his Fortune 500 company. For 90 days, Thurber would place jars throughout the workplace. Whenever someone caught someone else blaming someone or something else, instead of taking responsibility, they had to put $2 in the jar. That was the going price for what was known as dealing below the line. So if someone failed to recognize what they were doing, one of their coworkers would point it out and call for the $2 deposit. After 90 days, the plan was to donate whatever money had been collected to a particular charity. Okay, this is a big company, guys. At the end of 90 days, they found they had collected over $250,000. But guess what? They also found that the productivity of their company soared. The $2 rule can be successful in any setting, work, home, volunteer, efforts. It trains us to recognize those times that we are tempted to deal below the line in blame, justification, shame, and we can make a correction. So getting in this habit of living above the line and shouldering responsibility and accountability, it puts us all on the fast track for success in our own lives, and we can own what we create. So I had to share that story because I thought it was pretty crazy. I was like, oh, it'll be like $1,000. It was
Or $250,000.
But anyway, I know dealing below the line is like it's like a drug dealer. It feels like that. It is. We're dealing drugs to ourselves, right? It's not true.
Suffering state.
So, okay, you guys, and this is what I read that I was like, oh, I can't forget this. This is exciting because we have a live viewer who won, what is it, Amber?
Sorry, I was muted. So $25 Amazon gift card.
Woo, and it goes to Samantha Catch. Yay! Are you here, Amber? Can you unmute her?
You're unmuted, Samantha.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Congratulations.
That's awesome. No, the funny thing is I totally, before I drew it, I was like, man, Samantha's on like every one of these. And then I did the random number and I like counted down and I was like, it's Samantha.
We're so happy for you. And for those of you watching on playback, make sure you comment so you can have a chance to be entered as well.
Thanks, Lamira.
Okay, so thanks everybody for joining us, and let's all go be ninjas, right? Warrior women and men. Sorry, I hit you.